Well met, traveler.
What's going on, guys? It's Explicit here with another live stream. Today I'm going to be running some of my Shadowmancer, Necromancer with Ebonpiercer. I still have to get glyphs to 21. I just finished getting a couple of them, still working on 3 more. I was able to push the pit with this build. Tier 101, when I was level 99, I only had one level 21 glyph, which was Scourge. And I had like 2 level 15 glyphs. The rest of them were 3 and 4. And I was still able to clear the pit tier 101 with no deaths. It did take, 5-6 minutes, maybe even more than that, maybe 8 minutes. But the fact that I was able to push it made me realize the potential of this build. So I just kind of wanted to show it off a little bit. There's definitely going to be things that I need to improve. For example, just to point this out, Iron Maiden size. I'm not using Iron Maiden. I got stuck with it. I had Corpse Explosion size, which I should have left it alone, but I got greedy because I already had Corpse Explosion size on another piece of gear, so I was trying to get Curse Duration. And yeah, I got stuck with Iron Maiden size, so these pants will definitely be replaced. This build I'm currently using, I do use 2 Ubers, but I do have some alternatives for anybody that doesn't have the Ubers. The thing that you absolutely need, in my opinion, for the way that I'm running this build is Ebonpiercer. That makes it to when you shoot a Blight, it shoots 4 smaller projectiles that also can deal shadow damage. And the cool thing about it, which I wanted to just show also real quick before I kind of go into the build, I'm just going to sacrifice these just to show you when you're fighting a boss, you want to be up close, because watch. So you saw how the 2 on the side missed him, the 2 extra Blight projectiles. If you hit him up close, you see the dot is way higher. At one point it was 835, and then it went, versus from a distance. Now I am getting a bonus when I'm close to enemies, but the reason it's dealing that much damage is actually because all those Blight projectiles are getting hit. Sometimes it's 6, because I have chance for Blight projectiles to cast twice on my focus and my wand, and it only shoots it. So basically it shoots first, and then the second one casts with the split of the 4. You can see it. So that first one is not accompanied by the 4 when it's going to shoot a second one. But when it doesn't shoot a second one, then the 4 are accompanied with it. Regardless, you want to be right up on them so all 5 hit or all 6 hit. But yeah, we can go into the build. And then I'll show you like some things that I've noticed using different rings. And then I got to do some leveling of my glyphs. And then I may go into the pit, or I may switch to my Whirlwind Barb just to speed farm, because I need to get some of this stuff to 12 out of 12. Also still need to find some better gear. But starting off with the Harlequin Crest. If you have one, use it. Cooldown reduction is great. Resource generation for this build is great. Max life, all stats, come in handy as well. The damage reduction, you can get other forms of damage reduction on this build, so if you don't have Harlequin Crest, don't worry. But the +4 ranks to skills is what I wanted to kind of highlight on. So, like, Corpse Tendrils right now has a 5.9 second cooldown. And my Blood Mist has a 12.36. So with the cooldown reduction, and because it gives the +4 ranks, you're going to notice that. So now that jumps up to 7.94, almost 2 seconds. And then this jumps up to 14.57. So Harlequin, if you have it, use it, because it increasing the ranks to your items are going to give you more of a cooldown on Corpse Tendrils and on your Blood Mist. Nothing else on the build really requires cooldown. So the helmet that I did replace it with has an extra curse duration temper, so that's why you're seeing here it's 14.08 seconds, which you can get that even higher. When you put on Shaco, it is going to drop back down to the normal 10 seconds. Again, you want to get curse duration somewhere on your build, but so that's what I have for the helm. The alternative, stat-wise, intelligence, max life, and cooldown reduction is what you would want. I like Blood Mist cooldown reduction because I utilize Blood Mist in two different ways on this build. You know, one, obviously, it's going to be your immune, you're unstoppable, you're, oh shit, I'm about to die, let me pop my Blood Mist and get out of here. But I also use it with Desecrated Ground for a 20% multiplicative increase to my shadow damage, which helps when I'm proccing a lot of, you know, blights on the ground. Corpse Explosion with the, you know, blighted Corpse Explosion. So that helps out a lot. And Curse Duration, as you saw, it makes your Decrepify last even longer. I do like the Explosive Mist when I'm running the one on the right. It just more free Blighted Corpse Explosions. It just helps with the shadow damage. So like when you come in here, boom, it's going to guarantee to generate some corpses. And then, you know, that's always good. So if you don't have Harlequin Crest, run something similar to what I have on the left. Instead of life per second, try to get some cooldown reduction. And for the chest piece, definitely still need to find a better one. I'm running Intelligence, Max Life, Essence per second, which helps with this build. Blood Mist duration, and Corpse Tendril size. You can get Blood Mist cooldown reduction. The reason I went for duration is because I already have some good cooldown reduction from Harlequin. So I was, you know, kind of 50-50 on should I keep re-rolling it, but I got a max roll of Blood Mist duration, so I left it alone. Corpse Tendril size is good here. You want to get Corpse Tendril size, Decrepify size, and Curse duration on your 3 defensive pieces that are going to be left over from using Harlequin. If you're not using Harlequin, you can actually also get Corpse Explosion size, which is going to help. And then for the aspect, we're running you and your minions gain 25% damage reduction. That's just always up, so that's always good to have. For the gloves, running Intelligence, Max Life, Attack Speed, Shadow Damage over time on the Temper, and the Chance to Freeze. So we want Chance to Freeze, Chance to Immobilize, Chance to Stun. You know, any one of those 3 are going to work well with our Terror passive, which I'll go over later. So the Chance to Freeze is good. Shadow Damage over time is a must. The higher you have your Shadow Damage over time, the higher your key passive for Shadowblight is going to proc. So I'm stacking Shadow Damage over time all over. And for the pants, these are, like I said earlier, you don't want Iron Maiden size. I got stuck with it, but I have some Blood Mist cooldown reduction. Ranks to Skeletal Mage Mastery is, you know, very beneficial. They're the only minions I run in this build. I sacrifice the warriors, I sacrifice the golem, and Intelligence Max Life. Skeletal Priests empowering you at 70% is huge because that goes to you and then kind of goes back to your minions because of the fact that they inherit everything that you inherit. So, still need to find a better pair of pants. Hopefully we'll be able to find some gear during some of these Nightmare Dungeon runs and if we run into the Helltide. For boots, I'm running Intelligence, Movement Speed, and Armor. This is where I'm getting the majority of my armor. You can also see that I have amulets and rings that have armor on them. I don't like running them on gloves because then I'm losing either max life or an offensive stat. So I try to have them on either boots or pants. Movement Speed, I like being fast. Chance to Immobilize, like I was saying earlier, for the Terror passive, you want things that stun, immobilize, or freeze. Oh, and we are running, what is that? Dominion? Occult Dominion? Yeah, you just get 2 extra Skeletal Mages, which is going to help because the more Skeletal Mages we have, the more damage we deal with our Shadow. And I'm using a wand here. I was running a dagger, but I like the extra lucky hit for the chance to stun, chance to immobilize, chance to freeze lucky hits. So I switched to a wand for a little bit of extra lucky hit chance. Intelligence, max life. You can substitute the damage for like vulnerable damage or damage over time. Um, it's just what I had that I didn't brick because I had a lot of wands, and chance for blight projectiles to cast twice is a 33% chance to hit, but I bricked 4 items trying to get it once. Didn't even get it once. It kept giving me the other shit that's in there. So that's why, even though that's a min roll, I stuck with this. And then the shadow damage over time. Again, any offensive aspect we have, we're going to put shadow damage over time. And I'm using the blighted aspect, and that just means every time that our Shadowblight key passive damages 10 times, we get 6 seconds of increased damage, and that's all damage. So our minions get it, our dots get it, we get it. And then for the gems, I'm running damage over time. I ran it with vulnerable, and I was seeing less damage on my ticks. I was seeing more damage on the initial hit, but the ticks can ramp up. You'll see when I show a little clip or do a little demonstration where I'm only hitting for like tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, but my ticks are going into like tens to 30s of millions. You know, like the damage over time is really nice. For the offhand, minus GAs, this is almost perfect stats you want. You want intelligence, you want max life, you want cooldown reduction. And because focuses have an inherent cooldown reduction, you know, boom, now you got 2 of them. Shadow damage over time, and chance for blight projectiles to cast twice. And on this one I put the aspect of the damned, where I'm dealing increased shadow damage to enemies afflicted by curses. And that's any curse, and the curse that I'm using is Decrepify. Here's where you can play a little on the rings. You can play around with this to your liking. I am running Starless Skies. This build doesn't crit, so the crit chance, crit damage doesn't matter. Dot damage can't crit. The initial blight can crit, but like the actual projectile, but the pool that spawns is not going to crit. So the main reason I'm using this is because of the aspect spending primary resource reduces the cost of skills, which helps me spam it more often, and the increased damage does affect the dot. So getting that up to 50% multiplicative increase of damage is going to affect our everything, our minions, us, direct damage, and the damage over time. And I enjoy running the Ring of Sacrilegious Soul. You can make a case where you don't need this. The stats are okay. You get max life, max essence, lucky hit chance. The +3 to corpse skills helps because it lowers the cooldown even further on our corpse tendrils. And then it also increases the damage on our corpse explosions that are going to be going off constantly. Main reason I use this is because I don't like to have to cast all of my skills to get these procs, the Ray Skeleton, the Corpse Explosion, the Corpse Tendrils. I use them when I need to, but because they're auto, casting themselves, I don't have to worry about it as much. It's just more a relaxed playstyle. Alternatives to this, you can run X-Falls if you want, and basically X-Falls is going to give you that explosion of damage, which I'll show you a group of enemies, they get just annihilated with it. Does like 3 to 4, sometimes even like 5-6 million when it explodes. That can crit, but it's all about playstyle. Whether you like to use X-Falls or Ring of Sacrilegious Souls, I like the auto cast. Another one that you could run is something like this with intelligence, attack speed, chance to make enemies vulnerable. The only way we make enemies vulnerable in this build is corpse tendrils, which is pretty frequently, so you don't have to really worry about it. But it just helps, a little bit even more. Plus you can stack more shadow damage, and then you can put another offensive or resource generation aspect on here. I went with elements because intercom didn't seem to be doing anything for the dot. It did for the direct hits, but for the actual dot damage I didn't really see an increase that was crazy enough to keep that on, whereas this one I did. But again, it's all playstyle, whether you like to have it automatically cast for you and it's a more lazy mancer, I guess you would say, build, versus a more active, pushing all your buttons, constantly build. And the thing that makes this build, obviously, Ebonpiercer, we talked about earlier. I did get fortunate enough to get the GA on damage reduction from shadow damage over time affected enemies. That's huge because that's a source of damage reduction, you know, separate from all the others that I have on this build. You know, the damage reduction here stacks with the damage reduction here, so diminishing returns. Whereas this is a whole separate one. It's kind of like when you're running, you know, a poison build and damage reduction from poison enemies on the druid, or you know, something like that. I will eventually reset this and try to get more into the damage reduction and into the shadow damage over time, just because the value of that shadow damage over time, like, you know, the possibility it could be, is way less than something you could put on a weapon, or you know, on another ring or on another amulet. You can get way more shadow damage over time. I believe I have an amulet in here that I was testing. This one, yeah, these two, and you can see the shadow damage over time. You know, it's almost quadruple. So my headset just popped in and out. My apologies. Yeah, but I really like the Ebonpiercer. One thing that I've noticed is shooting those 5 out with the essence cost reduction. I'm almost never out of essence. Once I switch to one of these amulets, I'm struggling for essence at that point. So I'm enjoying Ebonpiercer. To each their own. Now, we covered that. Okay, I'm going to bring my mages back since I already showed you. So we're going to use deal 3% multiplicative increased damage for each active shadow mage, which that's going to put us at 15% because we're going to have 5 shadow mages pretty much all the time. They don't die. They're behind me. They're not taking aggro. They're just helping me deal more shadow damage for more Shadowblight procs. And then I am sacrificing the Skeletal Warrior Reapers for the 20% increased shadow damage. And I am sacrificing the Blood Golem for an extra 15% life. There's no point in doing Iron because we're not critting. Dots can't crit unless you're running X-Falls, and then it's, you know, kind of like a nuance that you gotta get your crit up, but you don't want to get it too high because that's the only thing that crits, and it's off a lucky hit, so you need lucky hit, and yeah. And then bone, we don't need. You can use bone for the attack speed. If your life is good, by all means, you know, it's a lot faster. I just prefer having more health, especially in the pit, so that's the reason I run that. We might want to put this on our bar. Hang on. Okay. Now they're just going to continue the kill stuff in the back while I go over skill tree. And I'm just going to do this kind of quick. This isn't a final build. You just have to put any 2 points in basic skills. You're not using them. Doesn't matter. Max out Blight. And then go for the one that you and your minions deal increased damage to enemies within the Blight. I tried it with this imperfectly balanced. Again, the direct damage of the Blight, it definitely hit harder. I didn't see an increase at all in the dot. And if I did, it was maybe like a million or two. So I didn't use these points so I can spam Blight more often. I did put 3 into Hewed Flesh, more chance to get corpses. We're running Corpse Explosion into the Blighted Corpse Explosion. More Blight damage, more Shadow damage. Running Blood Mist, maxed out to get cooldown reduction all the way down into Ghastly, so you can leave a corpse behind. I have 1 into Armor. If you guys get to the cap, by all means, you can take that out. But see, right now, my armor is at 8,874. So I have to use this 1 point to get myself over the 9,230 cap. And then we're just taking 1 to Grim Harvest so we can go into Fueled by Death. Let me make this bigger. We're picking up a lot of stuff in here. I like Death's Embrace. I'm close to enemies a lot, so I like to be right up on them. And again, the reason that is because from here, all my Blight projectiles aren't hitting. So I want to be close because I want all 7 of them to hit. You know what I mean? I want every single blight projectile to hit them, so I want to be right up on the bosses. And that's why I'm taking Death's Embrace. I'm also running Death's Approach for movement speed. I like to be fast. Amplified damage because we're cursing everything, so we're going to get that extra multiplicative damage increase there. We're running Decrepify into Apparent Decrepify for cooldowns on our other skills. The main thing that it's resetting for us is our Blood Mist, but it also will reset your Corpse Tendrils, but Corpse Tendrils is already going to come back pretty quick because of the auto cast. So the main thing you're using this for is your Blood Mist. And then Skeletal Mage Mastery, you're just increasing the life of your Skeletal Mages. Even if it's only at 3, still the 60% is good. If you can get it on gear, even better. Running Corpse Tendrils and making them vulnerable. This is our main source of vulnerability. We're running this for Fortify, so that way we can constantly stay fortified. I can show you guys a variation where I run Temerity and Soulbrand, and I have barriers and Fortify, and I'm basically an unkillable tank, but the damage isn't there in those pit 100s and higher. So the survivability is good, but the damage isn't there. I have to do some reworks and maybe put on Conceited, get some more damage while having a barrier. We're running Reaper's Pursuit, but I recommend just putting your points into Death's Approach for movement speed. It's not as much, but this way when you're in town, when you're going in between events, when you're not hitting somebody with shadow damage, you're still fast. I mean, by all means, you can max this out, and this will go up to 15% versus 12, but it's only after you've damaged an enemy. So in town, and like I said, going in between events where there's no enemies, you know, I just find it better to just 1 point into here so we can get to Gloom, and then 3 points into Terror. This is what I was saying at the beginning of the video. We want enemies to be stunned, immobilized, or frozen. They're always going to be slowed. 2 reasons. Our Blight slows them automatically. When you look at Blight, Blight's defiled area slows enemies. So everybody we hit is already slowed. And then when we Decrepify them, they have a chance to be stunned, but they are also afflicted by Decrepify. They're slowed and deal less damage. I mean, it does a lot of good things. So the first part of Terror, we're good. Everybody we hit is slowed. The second part relies on our tempers. Chance to freeze, chance to immobilize. You know, you can get a chance to stun somewhere. But I just run with those 2 because it doesn't have to be both. It's just either or. And then that's how we're getting some more damage output for us, our minions, and our dot. Crippling Darkness, you could just put 1 point into here if you want. I put 2 because a stun for 1 second. Sometimes you might be fighting a mob and you can't get back to the stunned enemy. That extra second could, you know, help another tick of your dot damage. So, and I'm not running anything in the ultimate. Again, we don't crit, so this is pointless. I've seen build guides that say use this. Unless they're just using it for the minions, it makes no sense. The only thing that can actually crit is the initial hit. All the dot damage that you can really ramp up, it never can crit. You'll see it's always in white numbers. You know what I mean? Those millions, the 15 million, 34 million, 9 million, 6 million, 5 million, 15 million, 17, all those millions are white numbers because dot cannot crit. So there's no point of stacking crit with a shadow build. Unless you're doing a variant where you're using Bone Storm and you want the Bone Storm to crit, and I don't know. But I've seen a lot of guides, not videos, but just like going on max roll or going on D4 builds where people are running shadow builds with crit, and for me it just doesn't make sense unless your minions are doing, you know, some crazy damage too, and that's how you want to play. I'm using the minions as a buff to me for more shadow damage. They, you know, and without minions I can't use this aspect, the Skeletal Priest empowering me. If you don't have minions to raise, you can't use that aspect. So that's the main reason, or another reason, that I left my Shadow Mages on and sacrificed everything else. And then our key passive, we're using Shadowblight. And the more Shadowblight damage, or shadow damage over time, the higher that bonus is. So right now it's at 483. But if I put on my ring that has shadow damage over time, and if I put on, you know, an amulet that has better shadow damage over time, you'll see that goes up pretty significantly. But then I'm losing, you know, certain aspects in the other way. So, you know, that's preference to you, what you have, you know, what's best in the slot for what you currently actually have available to you. Because what's best for me might not be best for you. Like I said, I like Ring of Sacrilegious Souls because I'm lazy. I want it to cast automatically, especially when we have multiple bosses and we do it this way. Like, I can just stand in here, get my Desecrated Ground going, and then if you look at the numbers that are like right above my character's head, those are the main numbers I look at when I'm doing this. 17 million, 20 million, 19 million. Sometimes I can get it up to 43. But I don't have to sit here and cast all these things. I'm getting empowered. When it does that, I'm getting empowered. Damn, it's hailing outside. Y'all might be able to hear that in the mic. I don't know. Some hail just hit my window. In July, we get hail. But I'm lazy. If I swap it out for, say, X-Falls, you're going to see crazier numbers on the outside. You know, when every time you see a purple explosion, that's the X-Falls, you know, hitting for some crazy numbers on the outsides. See the outside enemies, you know, 1 million, 3 million, 9 million. That wasn't happening with my other ring. However, the number that I wanted y'all to focus on earlier, the number that's kind of like above my character's head, you know, 10 million, 23 million, 10 million, 17 million, 25 million, those numbers are basically staying the same. So that's the reason I don't use X-Falls, is because I'm losing my laziness. Really, that's the only reason that I run Sacrilegious Soul instead, because I'm lazy. I don't want to have to constantly cast everything. I just want to be able to focus on 2 things. Blighting, well, 3 things. Blighting, Decrepifying, and Blood Mist. I don't want to have to focus on, you know, my Ray Skeletons, which, you know, I can still manually do, which, you know, it's not a big deal. So that's the reason I went with my current setup, but I just wanted to show you guys some options. If you don't have some Ubers, or even if you don't have, you know, the unique, you can still go with a ring that just, you know, gives you increased damage, shadow damage, attack speed. Intelligence also is important. Intelligence is what's going to scale our wither node, which we can go over that now since I finished the Paragon board. I finished the skill tree. Again, I'm kind of do a quick version of this, but I just went up for resistances first into Amplify, and I could probably put this somewhere else, but it's giving me is some extra damage, which I know additive damage isn't like the best, but it was the best slot for me to put this because I have other things in my board that I wanted to show why I made that choice. Putting control here because I just want to get to the minimum 40 intelligence, but also there was shadow damage. This board also has shadow damage over time. So remember, shadow damage over time is what's scaling our Shadowblight key passive in the skill tree. And then shadow damage is just all shadow damage, our blight projectiles, the blight that's on the ground. Get some more damage reduction. And then wither. So the highest I've gotten this so far is only 30% and 150%. So the more intelligence you have, the better. And that's why using a regular helm would be more beneficial, because you actually get intelligence at a higher rate. You can get GAs on all these too to make it even better, but you'll see I try to put intelligence on almost every piece of gear that I could. But because I'm using these 2 rings and I'm using this amulet, I'm losing a lot of intelligence right here. So that can still get higher, plus when I find better gear that has the GAs. Picking up some more damage to shadow damage over time affected enemies. That's a mouthful. Coming out to the right, we're going into the Flesh Eater board. We're constantly consuming corpses, so we're constantly getting that bonus. And then this is where I'm putting Scourge. You can get 75 in this board because there's intelligence here and intelligence here. Man, that hail's coming down. My apologies if that's ruining the video. Try to put my mic a little closer, I guess. Picking up some damage to elites, some more resistances. Again, picking up the resistances here is what allowed me to put the armor into my jewelry, which helped me get to the cap easier without having to put points into armor on the board. I went up from here. This is Bone Graft board. We don't care about anything for bone skills, but again, there's more resistance to all elements. I put in darkness here for some extra shadow damage, and then I went up, got some life. Armor I wasn't concerned with, but 8% max life versus normally these nodes give you a 4% because it's the secondary, not the primary stat. So we like having more life. This board is the cult leader board, and basically this is just for my shadow mages to do a little bit more damage. The main thing is the additional bonus. So whenever they deal damage to an enemy, that enemy deals, they take more damage from me and my minions, up to 15%. That's huge on bosses, especially in the pit. So your mages will get that fully procced up, and then you just start unloading with blights, and yeah, it's really good. Going out to the right, this is the Scent of Death board, and I put in Desecrated Ground, or Desecration. I'm using it currently on my Blood Mist. So that helps get that extra 20% multiplicative increased shadow damage, which is everything I'm doing is going to be shadow damage. My corpse explosion, my blight, the defiled areas that the blight, spawns. So, and my shadow mages. So I like this one, and it's very minimal. As you see, you can just come in, get your willpower, and then go straight to the legendary node. You can swap this out for Undaunted if you want a little bit more damage reduction. You can throw Undaunted in here if you don't need, and that's going to free up a aspect on your build. So by doing that, boom, you're good for damage reduction, and you'll be fortified, dealing more damage, and it's a willpower, so it basically, they can just swap and interchange. So if you want to deal more damage, Desecration. If you need more defenses, Undaunted, and that frees up an aspect slot because I'm using an aspect for my Desecrated Ground on my Blood Mist. So that's just shooter's preference, whatever you guys like, whether you want more damage, more defense. And then coming out to the last board, this was just a very easy board to get Exploit. Still kind of toying around with the idea of dropping Exploit, but I know it's huge to get an extra 10% multiplicative increase. But I could get that with Abyssal, which all my shadow damage is non-physical. So if I just put that here, I'm getting the 10% non-physical damage, which is the same as the 10% multiplier here. It's just the vulnerable damage is better to me than Abyssal uses, what is it? Bonus to non-physical damage and damage reduction modifiers. Yeah, that's not this. Well, at least not in this board. It wouldn't make really sense. It would just kind of be losing some vulnerable damage. And what I was talking about earlier, again, the Desecrated Ground, I don't think I actually went over it. This is where I'm using that at, is my Blood Mist, leaving a trail of it, and it lasts for 4 seconds after it ends. So when you pop it, you can see the ground, and you normally just kind of circle enemies, and now that I'm in it for 4 seconds, that's that 20% increased damage. So that really helps. But if you drop that, and if you switch it to Undaunted, you can put, Intercom, Elements, hell, there's a lot of offensive aspects. This might be where I put Conceited and start using, I was using this combo the other day, testing it out. I was using Soul Brand and Temerity, and then I realized I could drop Soul Brand and just use Temerity. And the only thing that made me start doing that is because I bricked my pants on the right Iron Maiden size. As soon as I got that Iron Maiden size, I was like, fuck, I need new pants. And I didn't really have a lot of Necro pants, so I started looking at my uniques. I have a lot of Barb pants, Bash, Flay, Thorns. I have a lot of Barb stuff left over, some Sorcerer stuff even. But yeah, plus the Bash, plus the Frenzy, and I wanted to save these in case, some of my buddies need some. Hey, you got any pants with Flay? You got any pants with Bash? Yeah, I got you. 20 billion. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, now we can finish leveling our glyphs, get back into the pit. Cleared, like I said earlier, a tier 101 with minimal gear, and only one thing was at level 21. Since then, I've gotten a lot more stuff. So I'm trying to save all the ones with 20% more glyph XP. So it seems like the hail stopped. That's the thing about where I live. If it rains or hails, it's normally just short bursts. It's not too bad. Let's see. Ooh, we'll run these just because. I'm trying to get used to them. I gotta find out if I like advantage over resourcefulness for this build. And I do gotta turn damage numbers off because they get in the way of seeing the bars. Just like my bleed barbarian. How I turn the numbers off. I wanted them on for the sake of the training ground so you guys could see the increase of that shadow damage over time. How it ramps up from an initial 3,000 hit up to 30 million in damage, which against regular bosses, pit bosses, it'll never get that high, but against pit bosses, it'll get that high. It'll even go a little bit higher because they're just taking that damage forever until they die. And it's because their health pool is so much higher. I did realize I'm not caring about leveling up, so I'm gonna run through a lot of this stuff because it's just a waste of time. I just need to do the objectives and get my glyphs up so I can get out of these dungeons for a while. And let's go ahead and turn damage numbers off. Oh, almost died there doing that. And not really calling out any other streamers, but when y'all stream, can y'all turn the screen shake effects off? Playing it's okay, but watching somebody else with screen shake effects on, I can't do it. I immediately turn the stream, and some of them are like streamers that I really enjoy watching. But every time that camera's just shaking, especially on somebody playing Bash Barb or something like that, I immediately am like, nope, can't do it. It just doesn't sit well with my eyes and my I don't know, my preference. But again, to each their own, shooter's choice, all that good stuff. Oh wow, all of them right here? 5? That's pretty cool. I guess that's not all of them, but a lot of them. See, the main thing I'm doing is just watching their bar. Because I know the damage with this build it's not direct damage, so if you want to kill things in one hit, this isn't the build for you. This is more of a hit an enemy a bunch of times and watch them, die out. Which I've noticed runs pretty well in pits. And that's the main reason I decided to continue with this build. Eventually I want to showcase all my builds, but I've just been doing so many different variants on all my characters that I finally had to stick to one and be like, alright, let's finish this one first and then go from there. The next one I need to finish is I have the Iron Wolves to finish on my Frozen Orb Sork, and I need to finish leveling and glyphs on my Pulverized Windshear Quick Shift Hybrid Druid. I don't even know what to call it yet. Where am I going? Oh, it's in the middle. You can tell I don't do this dungeon a lot. Get our desecrated ground right underneath them. And then we just blight away and he just vanishes. Dang, I gotta spend ovals. Alright, so like I said, we're almost done with all of our glyphs, so won't be too much longer of this. It's a lot of fun in Helltide with this build too, because of the projectile splitting and hitting everything. So many corpses get formed, and there's just pools of blight, you know, all over the screen. It's a pretty fun build. I know it's not as strong as like a Golemmancer build, but which I have one of those as well. I just found this new unique more fun to play. Alright, what do we got next? Ooh, 20% more. We go up or down? Up. Oh yeah? Come on in. Don't run away. Come back. Where are you going? Yeah, it's an event. I don't care about those right now. I don't need XP. A lot of times you'll see me use that and then cancel it, just because once I get the desecrated ground going. Ooh, double whammy. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes I'll do that until corpse tendrils comes up when it auto casts, and then I'll, you know, hop out and kill everything. But mainly always decrepify first, shoot the blight projectiles, and then go from there. see what the enemies are doing and what my auto casts are doing. You can lead in with it, so that way you got your desecrated ground already started, and then do your decrepify, and then do your blights. Really doesn't matter. Oh yeah, I never spent my opals. Let's do that before I forget. And then I can just keep chaining the dungeons back to back, but... I'll keep that for my other Necro. Everything else can go.
That got most of it. Come, try your luck.
Need better focus. My focus is good, just no GAs on it. Didn't look like I got one. Yeah. And that's not good stats. So.
You need steel work? Repairs?
Alright, we save anything that's 20%. Oops. Create some corpses. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, this is just travel. Okay. I don't even need to do anything. Holy bolts would also be good to run. Momentum don't really need. There it is. It's kind of crazy. I went at one point like 3 weeks without ever seeing a butcher, and then here I got him 2 times in 3 dungeons. Hang on, I got a text. Sorry about that. I really want to use this ring. Since all the changes made to it, I haven't used it since season 1. But I was using it with, what was it? The Heart of the Barber? Caged Heart of the Barber. And it was amazing. But, yeah, I don't know. I still want to give that ring a try. At least on my other Necro. Hey, we finally got that for our overpower Necro. Cool. Alright, so it looks like we only need to do one more dungeon if it's a 20%. There we go. And we'll have all of our glyphs done. Oh, kill all. Can't just run past everything on this one. The little spiders I can normally leave because I know my shadow minions are going to take care of it. I did not want to pick that up. Alright, we are ready for the pits. I mean, I could have went in there earlier, but like I said, being able to do it at level 99 with under-leveled glyphs and at the time suboptimal gear. Still have suboptimal gear, by the way, but let's do a one-on-one, see what happens. No holy bolts. Definitely not going to be as fast as my whirlwind barb. That's for sure. but who knows? Might be alright.
I forge more than thought. I'll keep my forge hot. Return soon.
Let's do anti-venom, and advantage, if you guys are wondering, is this one. Attack speed, lucky hit. You can also run resourcefulness. I don't seem to really run out with my current setup. If I take Ring of Starless Skies out, then I have to use resourcefulness to actually maintain my essence. Or you can, you know, take advantage of the Holy Bolts. Momentum, I don't really need because I'll be at the 200% cap well before I actually hit the 45% increase. Or you could just run more max life. But I've been running attack speed, lucky hit. Oh, whoa, whoa, something hurt. I need more life. Where's my life at? 44,000? Oh yeah, I need more life. Man, that rain decided to come back. At least it's not hailing, but it's definitely raining hard out there right now. I actually love rain, so it's not a big deal to me. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was the first time I actually used Ray Skeleton manually, and that's why I use Ring of Sacrilegious Souls. I just forget to cast a lot of the corpse skills because I got so used to this ring ever since, you know, it came out. Season 1, Season of the Malignant. They had the heart that did it, and then Season 2 they brought it back as a ring, so honestly, I wish we could have it back as just a heart, because then you could still have a ring with some better stuff on it. But that goes with all of the ones that they turned into rings or whatnot. crazy to think how overpowered we were in Season 2 when you can make a build right now with all of the vampiric powers, and it's pretty damn good. Considering we had all that plus a normal build in Season 2 was just kind of broken. Very fun though. I hope they bring all that stuff back. Being able to have that stuff without it being an aspect. Yeah, very slow. 4.5 minute clear. But you know what? We all can't be whirlwind barbs, right? Actually never fought. Oh. Wasn't paying attention, right as I say. I actually never fought her on my Necro. Damn, that's a long way out. Alright, so it looks like we need more life. Let's get more life. I like how when you enter the boss fight, it automatically gives you full minions. I also don't have any fortify at the moment, so we gotta, there we go, create some more. Dang, right when the damage started to ramp up, she got out. Sheesh. I definitely need some more life on this build. Definitely need some more life. Armor's cap, resistance is cap. I got a lot of damage reduction. I just need more life. Oh, right into it. I did that. I backed up right into that. Oh, man. We need some more items with GAs to max life and intelligence. Let's get fortified. Let's avoid that shit. Man, I'm so used to playing on my barb where it's just stand in one spot, swing, and it dies. Like I don't have to do all these mechanics. Man, I don't know. I'm sucking right now. I hate Outlaw Sharpshooter for real, though. Why couldn't we get, like, Chief Martyr, or whatever, Martyr. Marauder. I popped my blood mist. You heard it? I definitely hit it. It didn't work. Alright, one more and then that's it. If I die this time, it's over. Over. I don't even... know if I can't even farm on this tier with her yet. We gotta upgrade so much stuff and find better gear that it's like, maybe I just hop on Whirlwind Barb, get the Neath Iron, upgrade her, and then come back, or switch to my other characters. Because now that I've gotten all the glyphs to 21, it's just about finding gear at this point and then upgrading it. Oh. Oh, that's bullshit. That's so much bullshit. I didn't even see that one coming. Yeah. Kind of sucks, but there's no point in staying if you get a couple items out of a chest. Some murmuring opals. Well, that's unfortunate. My build... That's what I understand. I did change a lot of stuff in my Paragon board, but when I beat it at level 99 with suboptimal glyphs, I guess I just had way more life. I know I had all of this life, so maybe I'd get some of that back. I mean, that's only 4% life. It's not. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. Or maybe I do what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Take out Desecrated Ground, throw in Undaunted. I need 1 point to make that work. Where can I pull a point? You know what? We just don't fight that boss. We'll give it one more try. And then if it doesn't work, I switch to Barb and I farm. Bob for the win, as Rob says. Bob Nation. Yeah, definitely got to make some more tweaks. But I just wanted to show you guys like some of the stuff that I'm doing when I'm not streaming or not playing Barb. I play all the classes. I gotta finish up my druid, and then I gotta go back and revisit some of my other builds. My Golemancer build, my Firebolt Sork, Frozen Orb Sork, Heartseeker Rogue. I have 4 different Barbarian builds. I need to just go ahead and make a Flay build. I have Flay Thorns, Whirlwind, and Bash. I don't think this is a good fight either for Necro. Because I need to be close to do extra damage. And he doesn't like people getting close. Ooh. Still feels better than the other fight. So I can kind of stay at range. I'm not doing as much damage as I could, but Mm. 6 to 7 seconds with Whirlwind. Bring every class up to Barb's level, and don't just nerf Barb, because then that's not fun. Have everything be as equal, if not, you know, stronger. Just gotta find better gear. I think that would help a lot anyways. Getting more max life, more intelligence, so my wither scales better. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe not hop on Barb. Let's just see what I got. I want to say from Anubis up, I've done all the glyphs and everything. I still need to work on Sindel, Frost, and then Sage. Probably start a new stream for that. Appreciate y'all tuning into this one. Catch y'all on the next one.